went back dark, Cleo.
What happened to your light?
I didn't do nothing move.
All right, I'm gonna mute y'all for just a second.
It's coming
There
back.
it is,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Everybody, blessings beyond imagination. Welcome. We are live for this special episode of The Window. I am Love TaShia Asanti, your host and producer. I want to just start off by thanking our sponsors, Noble, Trinity Media, and House of Pinky. I see y'all. Come on in. We're about to get into it, family. I'm so excited today to have two amazing people joining me. I have my sister Cabrini Schnyder, who is actually guest commentator today, and I'm so excited. We have had some other fabulous conversations on her show, Pivot, where we just got hot and heated, and we're going to bring that same fire and energy today to this discussion. Of course, always being respectful of one another, even if we differ opinions. And I have the incomparable, the amazing community leader. I'm going to read a little bit of his bio, which we know is incomplete, but he describes himself as a social architect. He is also known across the nation for coining the term same-gender loving. Yes, you might have heard otherwise, but it was Dr. Cleo Manago that created the term same-gender loving in his not wishing to be identified as gay or lesbian due to perceived Eurocentric nature of the latter terminology. And this is just a little about what Cleo has done as well. He is the founder and director of the National Amasi Centers, a frequent guest on the award-winning Roland Martin TV show. And he has traveled the world teaching people about cultural preservation and as well as preserving African life long before there was a Black Lives Matter movement. When I worked with Cleo in the 90s, we had business cards that had that term, Black Lives Matter, on the card. So just a great history. And I want to tell you a little bit about Cabrini. She is a dynamic, she calls herself DNA, entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship runs in her blood, according to her. And over the past 34 years, she has successfully launched multiple brick and mortar businesses, leaving her mark in a variety of industries. And we were just sharing, she and I, how far we go back and how long we've been in the community doing our work. I've witnessed her amazing work, the movement that she has spawned in Southern California and abroad. And she is also author of a book. She calls it The Law of, and I'm just going to abbreviate F that. But we're going to tell you what that acronym means, because the acronym actually is really important and poignant. And it's an entrepreneur's journey of self-discovery, where Cabrini takes readers on a powerful journey of self-empowerment and resilience. She is currently known as the Gangsta Chef, where she inspires others to fall in love with themselves through cooking, food for thought along the way. And her mission is to use her voice to awaken individuals from their dream state and motivate them to start living the life they truly deserve, one decision at a time. So that's a little bit about her. Again, we've been doing this for a little while, the three of us. So it's a whole book about our work. And as you know, I am Love TaShia Asanti. I'm an award-winning journalist. I'm the author of 9 books, and I'm also founder of the Healing Racism Academy. And so this is the work that I do and have been doing for many moons. And I'm delighted to jump right into this topic, which I want to tell y'all just a little bit about how this started. I actually made a post, and I'm going to take our music down so y'all can hear and get into this discussion now. I put a post up about a few days ago saying that I didn't understand why some people of African descent were voting for, I call them T-Rump. I don't want to get our live shut down, so I'm just going to say T-Rump, because I know if you say that name too many times, they will shut you down. That's another workshop. And so unbeknownst to me, it set off a whole stream of responses, hundreds of comments. People came on and talked about their thoughts and their feelings about this topic, about why people were, voting for T-Rum. And then someone started to talk about Vice President Kamala Harris as the presidential nominee. That set off a whole new thread. And so by the time we were finished, there were a lot of strong comments on both sides. Some were pro-Kamala, some were against Kamala, her presidency. And Cabrini said, we need to talk about this again on a, larger platform. So here we are. We have, two of the most amazing people, both who have strong opinions. And I thought it was really important that we hear. So we're kind of going at this. The topic for today is why not her? Kamala Harris for president. And so I kind of look at it two ways. Why not her? Like, isn't she qualified? Isn't she great? Hasn't she accomplished a lot of things? After all, she's been working in the White House for going on 4 years. She's currently vice president. So why not her? And then on the other side is why not her, right? Because people have some, feelings that they feel are legitimate and authentic, some very sincere concerns about her nomination and her presidency. So we're going to talk about both today. And I think it's good and healthy to hear both sides of the conversation and to have authentic fact-check data that we're presenting as part of this discussion so we can make a well-informed decision. So with that, I'm going to jump right into the topics. And we have some questions that I set up, but we may jump around. We talked before we came live about some of the work that Dr. Cleo Manago has been doing, as well as Cabrini, Schnyder, in the community in support of Kamala, but also educating people about the concerns. And so they may touch on that work as well. Cleo shared about being a political commentator for many years now, working with one of our greats, Roland Martin, whose show I absolutely love. Like I love that show. And I've seen Cleo speak on there many times and enjoyed it every time. So my first question to y'all as panelists is, what do you see as the top 3 socio-political issues in America at this time? Like, as we dive into even looking at a presidential candidate, what are the issues that we feel are really, really important that a president could address or should address? Who would like to start?
Well,
Don't
in
be
light
shy.
of it being,
Yes.
In light of it being ladies first, well, I want to first thank you so much for even having me on your platform, and also to say congratulations to you on your new book, Seer, and in the hopes that it will become a movie that we all will get to watch. So I wanted to give kudos to that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Also, to speak to my book. Now, not that I wanted to go there, but I wanted to just talk about the acronym for a moment, because it will somehow maybe help pivot in this conversation. So while you don't have cuss words on your platform, FTAT stands for Finally Understanding Common Knowledge. Things happen all the time. THATT. And things happen all the time means that in life, we're constantly doing things that we don't want to do because we're not really focused on what we want to do, because it's easier to do what you don't want to do. But my teachings teach you that things are going to happen anyway. So why not do what you want to do and stop doing what you don't want to do? So you talked about social political issues. One, for me, is the corporatism, the corporate greed that has happened throughout time. And when Kamala speaks to the fact that she would change that, to me, that was very important, because when you look at rents, for instance, you look at the rents that are extremely high, but at the same time, people on their jobs have not gotten any raises. So if a person has not gotten a raise, but the rent is, what is it, $3,500 for a 1-bedroom, but you haven't raised the rent? I mean, your salary. How?
Right, depending on where you live, absolutely, it can be that much. Yes.
Yeah. How does that weigh in? So when she speaks to really going after these corporate suckers, if you will, I don't mean that they're suck. I mean sucking us dry. I thought that was very impressive for me. So that's one of my takes on it. And I'm not a political person, so I am a heartfelt person. So this is why Cleo and I have had our banter back and forth, because while he may be in the political realm, I'm in the joy realm. And I think all of it starts first with joy. And we have not had that in a long time, which is why I think we've been where we are. So that's my take.
Thank you, Cabrini. And for you, chime in, Cleo, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the window. I am Love TaShia Asanti. Thank you to Pinky Dewberry Kennedy of House of Pinky, one of our sponsors, for helping to spread the word. Please share the video if you're watching. Tag your friends. It's going to be a very lively discussion. And we're talking about the first question, which is what we think are the issues, the core issues at the heart of Americans. Now, we know it's different for different people, right? Things that are important to one ethnic group may not be as important to another ethnic group, or may not be critical, I should say. So when we talk about the socio-political issues, we're talking about things like, which Cabrini talked about, the cost of living. We're talking about racism and white supremacy. We're talking about gun violence. We're talking about domestic violence. We're talking about Roe versus Wade, reproductive freedom, reproductive rights. So those are some of the issues that are at the core of America. And so I kind of want to hear what you all think. Cabrini spoke on one of the things that's important to her, which is economics. And Cleo, I would love to hear from you. What do you think are like the three main issues that are plaguing America, with the understanding that it's different for different ethnic and cultural groups?
Well, I'm going to attempt to be abbreviated to the extent that I can, because it's a very complex issues.
Yeah.
But the first thing I want to mention is I want to reference joy. Cabrini doesn't know me. We met through the small lens of a conversation in your thread. And I think one of the things she said, and I'm talking about resonance right now to be clear, one thing that she said is she was a heart person. Although often I don't appear that way to people based on optics and anti-blackness, frankly, and misandry, hatred or dislike toward black men. Though because of those issues, it's not seen, but my whole work is driven by heart. My whole motivation is joy and love. And my background is health and human services and mental health. So I actually get an up-close observation and experience with the state of our community in terms of self-concept, self-love, feeling entitled to the things that I think that you believe in, Cabrini, in terms of personal freedom and prosperity. We all deserve that. And one of the work that I do to help people believe that also is getting things unpacked in terms of the myths that surround them, in terms of their lack of worth, that they're just an N-word, etc., or they're just a B-word. And there's all types of messages in the culture. And this affects this election, and we're going to get into a moment. But there's all kinds of implications in the culture that dehumanize, repress, and traumatize people. And my work is to teach people how to decode and navigate past that, because even the violences that TaShia just broke down are all a result of misdirected rage and unresolved trauma. So my work is about getting that work and that phenomena to be understood, codified, managed, and resolved, and we can navigate past it so we can reach joy. Because a lot of people, and I'm sure I would imagine you know this, Cabrini. There's people who fake joy. There's people who monetize not in a way where they make money, but where they make bills and make debt, trying to buy joy with too much stuff, not taking care of business, not putting ducks in a row so they can have prosperity or generational wealth, blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying blah, 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 because I think Cabrini knows what I'm talking about. TaShia probably does too, but I get the impression that Cabrini understands business, B-I-Z-N-I-Z. And so do I. I'm a successful businessman as well. And so I understand business, but I want to say that because I'm really in that Wikipedia thing that TaShia saw. It's not going to talk about my heart. Yeah. It's not going to talk about that love, particularly for people of African descent, is a profound driving force for every single solitary move I make, including my critiques of the social political landscape. It's not based on some kind of patriarchal subjectiveness. It's based on an analysis of the whole thing, which is how I was able to predict these election outcomes, even when it looked like that's not going to happen, or what's going to happen with Kamala. Excuse me, I want to say her name right. Kamala.
Yes.
Kamala.
Yes.
Trump, and with Barack Obama. In terms of my analysis, that maybe accurately predicted they were going to win. So I want to talk about the heart and joy. So Cabrini can know that I resonate with the importance of that. And I also resonate with something that she said about not seeing enough of it and it not being something that we've seen enough and we need to see more of it. I agree with that. So let me get to the question, the answer to the questions now.
I understand.
The three items that I see are important have nothing to do with the contemporary state of the potential presidency. As far as I'm concerned, Kamala, and y'all gonna have to help me get this right when I mess it up, and I believe that's gonna happen. Anyway, Kamala is a politician all day long, and is running for president, has been running for office for a long time, and they're a hope to die politician. So I expect to hear them talk about corporations. The person whose reference is black, the biracial black identified person that preceded them in the White House as a person with African heritage, which was Barack Obama, made all kinds of promises too, most that they did not fulfill, and the trickle down effect of their presidency did not have an impact on black people in particular. It helped Americans. Obamacare is for Americans, but I'm concerned about the lack of joy based on white supremacist implications and patriarchal in the culture that leads to our people feeling unworthy and feeling trapped and imploding. I'll close with this because I have to contextualize it in that way. When it comes to self-esteem, mental health, self-love, we in trouble. The suicide rate is off the chain. There's all kinds of things that are off the chain. And I do not like how this society sets black people up to have so-called choices that in the midst of it is the lack of affirmation of black people. And that's one of my concerns about Kamala. And I'll get to that in a moment. But the questions that you ask about society and framing it from a presidential perspective, it's hard for me to answer it like that because I don't think it's really, in the contemporary state, it really has nothing to do with what I think we need.
Okay, so we could, if we can, TaShia, can we just stay here? Because I think something you just brought up, Chloe, is it Chloe?
Cleo.
No, it's Cleo.
It's Chloe.
Y'all, not Chloe. All names, not Chloe. But okay.
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
While y'all gathering your thought, don't lose that thought. I just want to say, someone actually posted in response to Cleo, says, D. Pepper says, everyday activism, Black activists for our communities and Black thought. And then Danielle's on, says, can we as Black people accomplish the Black power outside of a Black nation? So this was in response to you, Cleo. That's why I went ahead and read it. Back to you, Cabrini.
Well, Cleo, you want to answer that first? Because we want to keep,
sure.
It's about what people are asking, not, so go ahead,
sure.
Cleo.
Sure. The final question was about Black Power. Repeat that, please.
Yes.
TaShia?
Danielle Young Combo writes, can we as Black people accomplish true Black power outside of a Black nation?
Okay.
That's an interesting question.
Yes. The answer is yes. But we are in what I call a trauma trance. We are in an anti-Black trauma trance. I've literally researched this and tested this around the nation for years. And we may or may not get into some of the samples and case studies that give me that outcome, but we can do anything. I know Cabrini knows that. We can do anything, but not if we're in terms of Black specific. I'm not talking about commerce and generic things that in the marketplace, which we all have access to. I'm talking about Black autonomous power and political gravity. We don't really have that as a collective. There's individuals who have that, which usually trickles down to helping white folks because it's not a block group move. It's people adapting to whiteness and joining whiteness with a dashiki on if they feel like it. But that's not Black power. There's a difference between fighting for white access and fighting for Black power. And most of us are fighting for white access, even with a Black power sign, because we want to get past racism to get to white access. But yes, we can do anything, sister. We can, but we have to have the mental health and well-being and the positive self-concept first. And that's what this system keeps interrupting. I ask all the time when I do talks to my audience, I say, okay, let's put on the board a reliable pop culture example of Black on Black love. Give me an example of a Black on Black love example that you can go see every day. That's part of the pop culture landscape. And without fail, even though it's 2024, they can't find one. Yeah. They can find snapshots.
He said,
but they can't find a love story. So that's an interruption of Black power possibility if we don't love ourselves. But we can do it. We're dormant under our mental illness and self-conceptual health challenges is Black power. It's dormant, but it's there.
Well, it's clearly there. I mean, if we could go back to when the slave masters decided, okay, you niggas want to be free, I'm gonna let you out.
Oh, we can't do the N word. They'll shut us down. Just say ends. That's all right.
You
yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Go ahead. Y'all want to be free, so I'm gonna let you free. I'm not gonna leave you with any clothes. I'm not gonna leave you with any food. I'm gonna leave you in the middle of this desert, and you're gonna make your own way. They did not expect that in 2024 we would have people like Jatoka. Is that how we say her name? Win with Black women.
Is that the one that's the Supreme Court justice?
No. Okay.
That's Ketanji Jackson.
Okay.
That's but I'm talking about. I'm gonna spell her name.
Okay.
Jotaka. She is the one.
Jataka, that's correct.
Jataka.
You said it correct.
Yeah, she is the one that galvanized all these different groups.
Yes.
And her group in particular, Win with Black Women, in 3 hours to get over 40,000 Black women to come together.
Yes.
So when we're asking that question, and I think Cleo was saying, yes, we can. And I think the real issue and the problem that white folks are having, not all white folks, we're talking about the white folks that's having the problem, is that we can't stop. How are we going to stop them? We can't stop them. So yes, we can, to answer the woman's that woman's question.
That was my daughter. That's Danielle.
There was a second question too.
Yes, D. Pepper Massey was just mentioning some of the things that she thought were core issues. She said everyday activism, where people were empowered to be able to act on their own behalf without imprisonment or threats of death or things like that. And then she said Black activists for our community. So to have actual activists, which there are some, who are really for and about the Black community. And then Black thought. critical thinking, which I know is part of your work and your movement, Dr. Cleo Manago. You're just tuning in. Welcome to The Window. We're discussing today the Vice President Kamala Harris candidacy for the White House, for president, to lead the White House, to lead this country. And we have our guests, Dr. Cleo Manago and Cabrini Schnyder, who are chiming in on the pros and the cons, which leads us to actually our next question. And I'm going to get to the cons, don't worry, but I wanted to know what y'all see as the pros of the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz candidacy. And one of the things that Cabrini posted, and I was really happy to see this because I hadn't seen it put together like this, when we talk about her qualifications, right? And we talk about what has Kamala done that would really qualify her. And I won't go through this whole list, but some of the things says that Cabrini posted in this poster, says set a new record for the most tie-breaking Senate votes cast by a vice president in history, invested $370 billion to combat climate change and expand energy production, expanded the child tax credit to cut child poverty in half, which is really important, provided $450 billion, not million, billion in relief to 6 million small businesses. So this is under Kamala's vice presidency. This is what she has done since her time in government as working with President Joe Biden. Win a $20 billion settlement for homeowners during the foreclosure crisis. Took on the for-profit colleges that scammed Americans. Lead the push for Domestic Workers Bill of Rights Act and a federal worker unionization and overtime pay for farm workers. And I'll just read a couple more. She introduced a student loan forgiveness program for mental health professionals, which we all know the Republicans fought tooth and nail. They, regardless of how much wealth they own, it was, they were really upset that those kids might get a couple pennies back. Won settlements from companies that underpaid workers. So she basically fought and won settlements against companies that underpaid workers and violated labor laws. And one of the ones that was really important to me was the medication. I didn't know that she had gone up against Big Pharma until I watched the debate. That actually really impressed me. And she, it says, I'll read just a few more that kind of stand out here. Oversees the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which we know is a major, major issue in communities of color in particular. And presided over the vote to confirm Justice Ketanji, which is talking about her, Brown Jackson, and officiated some of the nation's first same-sex marriages. So that's just a little bit of Kamala's background and history. There's like 40 big accomplishments here. And so those are some of the pros, but do you all have any pros that you want to talk about? Cabrini, we'll go with you first this time and then
No, I want Cleo to go first on this one.
Oh, I don't mind. But you said something about lady something earlier. But anyway.
What that was just
I don't see. I know. I don't see any positivity. Well, let me not be so absolute. I see limited positivity in Kamala's presidency. I'm aware of that list, but as I said in a previous conversation with Cabrini, qualifications when it comes to the President of the United States, which was proven by what's his man's name? The one who killed Saddam Hussein. That president.
Yeah.
Forgot his name now. But
wait,
Trump
what?
himself. Trump and the president him and his father were both presidents. I can't think of their names right now. Bush.
Yes.
Young Bush was barely qualified. Trump is not qualified. And they became the president. So I never got involved in the qualification conversation. There were other women who Biden could have chosen. and this gets my prediction that I made on Roland Show. Before he made the prediction, before he made the choice, I told all of his audience that it will be Kamala Harris. That's what's going to be, y'all, because she's white enough, mainstream enough, and loved white people enough, and white connected and situated both personally and politically to have both conservative and some level of black support. So it's going to be her, because it was the woman who's now the mayor of Los Angeles. Forgot her name right now too. I'm getting
Karen Bass.
It was her and some other women, all who were qualified. But I knew it was going to be Kamala, who got it because of how whitewashed she is. So
why is she not qualified to you?
I didn't say she wasn't.
Well, hold on. We're jumping ahead.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
What I said was, I don't get into the qualification conversation and never have been in it, because that's not relevant. If it was, Donald Trump would never have walked into that White House as the president. What got him into the White House was politics, the whims of white people, and the agenda of white people in the aftermath of the black and biracial Obamas being in the White House, and they had to do something quick to rearrange things back into white power optics. And they got the craziest white person and the most blatant. They didn't want no liberal like Hillary, who was going to be bringing in everybody and talking that people of color and inclusion talk. They wanted a straight up bombastic white racist to take the place of the Obamas and to put that in the backdrop and have somebody like that in that place. And he was not qualified. So like I said, I'm not having to qualify. I mean, this woman has already won all kinds of positions in their career, and has a very politically aligned, serious background of accomplishments in the political arena. If you want to call that qualifications, you can, but it's not relevant to my analysis. I'm not coming from that place. Of course, she's quote unquote qualified, but and somebody thinks, but supposedly a majority of people in the country thought that what's his name was Trump. I was getting ready to call him what you call him. But I'm trying to edit myself. He wasn't qualified, and there's other people that came close historically who quote unquote were not qualified. But it depends on what your values are and what you think qualification is. I'm very aware. Before you read that list, I was keenly aware of Kamala's accomplishments in the political sphere. I already knew about it.
Okay,
that's not my issue though.
Yes. And we're going to get to that next.
Oh, so we're gonna know about your issues when?
Right, that's the next question on the list.
I've already talked about some of them.
Yeah, he's talked, but Cabrini, it's your turn to talk about what your pros are, why you feel that people should vote for Kamala, and why you support her candidacy.
Okay, first, my immediate feeling was joy, right? And I think a lot of people go back to 2008 when President Obama was coming on the scene saying, yes, we can, right? And I think at that time, Bush was in, and we were having that same feeling of despair, if you will. Right. And so when this black man showed up out of nowhere, because we didn't know where the hell he came from, and he brought hope and joy, right? People started feeling like there's something to actually live for. And I don't believe that a lot of people back then were even aware of politics as much as we all are now. And it started with Obama.
That's true. And
then it became, 8 years. So, as he was in, people started to not pay attention as much. So then it started to waver. So then here comes
Trump.
Donald Lecter. So here he comes, and people started to pay attention again. And then he lost, and then we have the whole situation. So now here we are. And Kamala comes in, and she brings more than just hope. She brings joy and a feeling like, I don't know, let me ask a question. How many of her campaign rallies, Cleo or TaShia, have you seen?
Me, you're speaking when you say TaShia, me?
You Love
Love TaShia. Okay.
Yeah, TaShia, yeah. Love and Cleo.
Cleo.
How many of her campaign rallies have you seen?
Recently, I haven't seen any of them.
Okay.
Because I have not been interested. I didn't even see the debate, but I saw them when she first ran for president. I was at a few of those, and I saw those. You're
talking about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now.
I know you're not, but I'm just telling you what I have seen and what I have not seen.
Okay, so
but I expect enthusiasm.
No, it's not just enthusiasm. It's not just enthusiasm. It is something so much more deep rooted than just enthusiasm. There is another palpable feeling that emerges through the ethers when you see this woman's campaigns, and I think, you know how you have, I'm trying to give an analogy here so you can just understand what I'm saying. You know how you have your car, the cars are now keyless, right? Most cars are keyless, and you walk up to your handle, your keys in your pocket, and you touch the door, and it opens.
Yes.
Right? What happens when the woman walks on the stage and they say her name with 20,000, 15,000, all these thousands of people watching her and actually in the room with her? There's an energy flow that happens that I've not ever seen in my life. It started with Obama, and here it is again. So I'm going to flip back to what we were talking about, which I think it was your daughter that asked a question about Black people.
Yes.
And what we bring to the table. There's something that we bring when we are together and we are galvanized together that is insurmountable. They can't even touch it. And so I think that's what's really happening. And that's what I feel when I hear her speaking about her policies and procedures, when I hear about what she's going to do. And yes, they all try to say what they're going to do. But of course, the white people that are in the positions can block it. Obama tried to get some things passed, but they didn't have the House and the Senate at the time. So he couldn't get things that he wanted in.
He did have executive privilege, though.
Okay, but at the same time, how much really does the president can do and cannot do? You know that there's knees on their necks. I don't care who they are.
That's true, though. Yeah.
The people in the background.
But symbolically, that doesn't matter. It's powerful just to give an executive order. It shows I got your back, even if it doesn't win, just to give the executive order as the president of the United States. Even if you lose, just to advocate in public that you give a care about certain issues is still symbolically powerful, and it's still encouraging to your potential base.
I agree.
Say potential because Obama lost a lot of people, and he did have executive order power regardless. But let me say one more thing about what you just said about Kamala and the current perspective and reaction to Kamala. This is the same woman that ran 4 years ago that didn't have that response. It's the same woman with the same personality, the same everything. The reason that's occurring that you're talking about right now is because of time and space and because of the dynamics happening now. Biden stepped down. I was involved in the conversation about what should they do, should they do if Biden steps down. And every time, and the people that I was in the conversation were talking about that she should pick so and so and so. I said, if they want to win, this is before. I'm serious. This is before Kamala was even appointed to run. I said they better pick her. I said they pick Joe Schmo or somebody who's abstract and who's not known, and she's a vice president, and she has name recognition because of that. She didn't have that name recognition to this level when she first ran. So now she has more name recognition, and she has the whole power of the Democratic Party, and even Republicans who don't see Trump as a good strategy anymore to support her. So of course it's different now. But it's just the same woman who people were scratching their head about, but they're not scratching their head. They're refusing to scratch your head now because a new person has emerged, a new context has emerged. And there's all kinds of enthusiasm right now for the symbolic Democratic Party leader that was not had when she first ran. It's the same person. So I'm not surprised that something more than enthusiasm and the things that you've broken down are occurring now. I completely expected. What else are they going to do? They want this woman to win, and she wants to win. So all of this is, I mean, back when Trump was first running, I went to some of those rallies too, and they were enthusiastic. And when him and his wife, alleged wife, walked on the stage, they lost their mind. You thought it was Michael Jackson. So that's to be expected, Cabrini. All of this excitement, because that's what happens at presidential elections. I'm telling you from experience.
Well, no, I get it, and we can always, and what I love is we can agree to disagree. You know, because yes, there are people that will stand up and cheer for hatred. They will cheer loud and strong for hatred and for the Antichrist to show up at the stage, because that's the devils that are in the room.
I agree that the result. I agree, Cabrini, that the agenda that Trump and his Trumpettes, etc., has some level of hatred, in that is completely detrimental to Black people involved in their analysis and agenda. But from their perspective, it's a love fest.
Yeah,
it's a white love fest. It's a white power fest. When Donald Trump had his inauguration, he said, and I think he said you'll never be, what did he say? I'm paraphrasing, but the word "you never" was in the beginning of his comment. But he said something: "You'll never be neglected again. You know, you'll never be unseen." And then white people are crying and happy and joyous and all of that, because he was he was their dude.
But
and he still has millions and millions and millions of supporters that are not let me take TaShia out of it, that are lesbian, that are gay, that are
Black,
poor, that are rich. He Black. He had and he had a growing Black male contingency too, which I understand. I don't support it. I'm not one of them. I want to be real clear, but I know why. I get it. And so they're giving joy too. I had an argument with some people on an airplane. I was surrounded by Trumpettes, and that's a whole nother conversation. But they said, what did they say? They said that I forgot. But they said something about Trump. No, they said this is before Kamala came on. They said Biden is I forgot. I'm sorry, that's all right.
They'll come back.
That's okay. I mean, again,
let me read just a few comments. Hold that thought. Write it down. Don't lose it, because I want to hear it, Cabrini. I just want to read a few of our comments we've got there. People are really fired up in the chat, you guys. Danielle says, "Let me clarify what I meant. Is it difficult to move the way we want outside of a homogenous environment from an economic, political, and cultural standpoint?" So again, kind of going back to someone posted in the chat, in the comments, that Kamala is, remember, she's president of all of America, not just Black America, which is one of the points that I've made. You know, our expectations based on what we want from her as Black people, or what we understand that she's not just catering to us. She's not just has to think about empower, protect, Black people, but all Americans, because we're not the only people that live in this country. So that was Danielle's question. And then D Pepper says, "One pro, in my opinion, is the optics to encourage and show our youth that we can excel and reach the highest levels in business and politics." And then Pinky Dewberry Kennedy wrote, and I'll read these three and I'll go back. I'm going to read everybody's comments. Don't worry, if you commented, you're going to be heard. "What is Kamala Harris doing to encourage Black men to vote?" And Danielle posted a response to that question, to check out Black Men for Harris. Okay. And so I'll read some more of them in just a minute, but I want to bring that to you too as panelists. Yeah.
Well, I think what's happening. I think what's happening.
Cabrini and then Cleo.
Well, I think what's happening a lot too is that we have inherent within us is post-traumatic slave syndrome. And what happens with Black men leaning towards Trump, it goes back to post-traumatic slave syndrome. And Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about that very, very strongly. That's her topic. She didn't just coin the phrase.
I'm very familiar with her.
Yeah. So she talks about post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I think this is what happened or is happening unbeknownst to Black men. They think that Kamala Harris that Honorable Lecter gave them $600. They don't realize that he just signed the check reluctantly, but he did not give them $600. And he will not give them any money if he gets back into the presidency. Hopefully we're going to talk about what would happen and what life would look like if he got in. And I think that's the most important reason why I wanted to come on here, because I wanted to speak to freedom and what freedom actually would lack thereof of freedom would look like under that presidency. Yes, right now we only have two. We could drive forward or we can put our car in reverse and go backwards. There's two options here. So a lot of times if we're having this conversation about what can she do? What did she do? What ain't she doing? Is she doing it for really the Black people and the white people? Really? She only doing it for herself. Whatever these conversations that we're having are, the real essence here is, do we want to drive forward or we want to put the car in reverse?
Well, some people look at it like this. Do we want a fast drip of poison or do we want a slow drip of poison? Do we want Kamala, who's the slow drip, or Trump, who's the fast drip? Now, I want to speak to what you said about Black men and this $600. I have been talking to Black people, men and women of diverse perspective, identities, etc., about this issue across the country for decades, including most recently. And Black men are not mentioned. Nobody mentioned anything about a $600. That is not in the equation.
Hold on. That's only because you're not hearing it. Oprah just mentioned it last night that a man, when she got off the airplane.
A man. Oprah and a man. That's not again, Black men and Black men.
I know. I have heard
that's not a good example.
No. I have heard it from. It has been on Roland's show. There have been Black men saying. I have been watching this political movement for a very long time, but since she came into going into this new realm of presidency. The main thing that you would hear Black men saying on TikTok, on Instagram, on all of these platforms, the Black men that are against Kamala and going for Trump is because they say Trump gave them money. I am telling you the part that I know.
Oh, okay. I know that there's parts of that I think is true, and I can break that down. But the $600 specific, people keep
put that thing on vibrate. We on TV.
If you ever read any of my commentary, and I want to get back to something I was going to say. I hope I don't forget.
Yes, because I want to hear your thoughts.
If you read any of my commentary, my perspective has been that Trump is the get paid president now, because he does get paid, and that's who he is. So let me just break down that analysis because I think it addresses this. But the conversations I've had at Morehouse College and all over the country, I think I talk to way more Black men than Oprah do. Nobody has mentioned $600. However, this is one of the things that's going on. And I have to be brief because I'm not the only one here who gets to talk. Black men in this society have, and I'm not doing a contrast with Black women, so please listen to me as a Black man and not do any women defensive thinking while I'm talking, because I care about women as well. But we're talking about Black men in the Trump vote specifically right now, so I'm addressing that. That's the context that I'm addressing. This society has been a tug of war for Black autonomy, Black safety, Black protection, Black lifespan, and Black and Black comfort since we've been here. Black men have been castrated, dissed, killed, incarcerated, murdered en masse by the cops unarmed, and the suicide rates, all you gotta do is read, the suicide rates have been going up among Black men way beyond Black women, way beyond everybody, more and more and more, including during the Barack Obama administration. Suicide among Black men kept going up, and it's still going up. At the risk of being brief because of time, the Black Power movement, which I'm a part of, by the way, the Black Power movement, from a lot of Black men's point of view, has said it's not working. I'm still getting killed. I'm still being murdered by cops. I'm still the first to be fired, the last to be hired. I'm still in danger. I'm going to get paid. The Democratic Party, who was supposed to be my party, has not deflected the attacks on my life and the interruption of the quality of my life or my state of being. It has not been helpful. So I'm going to where the get paid folks are. It's about money now. Now, again, that's not Cleo Manago's perspective. That's not me.
Right.
They're like, this other stuff ain't working. I'm still dying. I'm going to some place where at least I can give me some money. I want to get paid. And Donald, and also when you contrast on the Black male tip between Kamala and Trump, neither one of them are demonstratively affirming Black people, let alone Black men. So since anybody gonna affirm me, I'm gonna go get paid. And when it comes to the get paid president, that's Donald Trump. Also, when Donald Trump got arrested and became criminalized, unfortunately, and again, we're not talking about Cleo Manago. I'm a behaviorist. I understand behavior. Donald Trump became an underdog. Black men feel like underdogs. Even when you talk about the sister that you mentioned earlier and what she did with Black women and how they believe, how they would like to think that Black women inspired Biden to choose the whitest Black woman he could find when he had all these choices. They like to say, look what we did. But what they keep on not caring about is that when Black women do stuff by themselves without any mention of Black men or caring about Black men in a society that does not care about Black men, it looks like some more castration. So since there's so much castration going down, they go into the get paid president. And I want to say it one more time: Cleo Manago ain't going to the get paid president. But I get it.
Okay, but wait. I have a question. I don't understand about the get paid president. The only time and the only reason people got paid was because of COVID-19. If he gets in the office right now, what are they going to get paid? He's not giving them any money.
Okay, you're missing my point. I'm not talking about COVID-19.
Truly missing your point.
I'm talking about. Let me explain. I can do it briefly. I'm not talking about COVID-19. I'm talking about the man is a billionaire.
He is not a
billionaire.
When I say get paid president, he don't have no money.
I know all that. I know all that is in doubt. I know all of that. And I understand that. Believe me, like I said, I didn't just join this radio, but people think he is. And they go to major cities in this country. They go to major cities in this country. They see Trump Tower in gold. They go to Las Vegas and they see Trump Tower in gold. They go to New York. They see Trump Tower in gold. They go to LA and all major cities in this country, and they still see Trump Tower in gold. So regardless of the fact that he might be a paper tiger and the truth behind that, what you may be saying, I'm talking about appearance, because it's all about appearance.
But what I'm saying to you is that if you are a leader of the language, you have to language it correctly. If you know that he is not a billionaire, do not say that he's a billionaire, because he's not. You can say,
I'm not talking for me.
But then you don't
for me.
Then speak
I said
to
he
the
was
other
the get paid president. And he is.
But how is he a get paid president?
Well, let me chime in on that. Because I really wanted to know when I put that post up why Black people would vote for someone like that clearly hates them, that clearly is about oppressing them, mistreating them, has a history. I mean, his father was a grand wizard in the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, come on. So I was really like, and now that actually makes really good sense. Somebody just said he is definitely a paper tiger, but when you are on the level that Donald
You're
Trump
going in and out. I don't know if it's me
okay.
or you,
Can
but
you
you're
hear me
going in
now?
and out. Cabrini, is she going in and out for you too?
No.
Can you hear me now, Cleo?
Okay, let me.
Okay. When you're on the level of
I'm
Donald
sorry,
Trump,
I didn't hear a lot of that. I'm going to change
okay.
my
All right,
router
don't
because
go
I heard
anywhere.
you. I heard you, but it went in and out.
Okay, don't go anywhere. I
So
was
continue
just
to talk.
saying
Don't wait
that,
on me.
okay. I was just saying that.
I heard you say something about the Ku Klux Klan. I heard you say something about that.
Yeah, I said his father was a grand wizard in the Klan. He is definitely someone who is, against. We know he's against Black people. Clearly, everything he's done, his actions show that. So I just want this to be on the recording. But Cabrini's question was, technically, he does and has, lost a lot of his liquid wealth. And see, that's where we're making that determination that he doesn't have money. But we all know that liquid wealth is not the same thing as assets. So you cannot have money in the bank, but you have 500 acres or 6 hotels or, brick and mortar places, or you have, money that's hidden over here and over there. So everybody knows, though he may not have, money in the bank, he has wealth. He has wealth forever. I mean, he's going to get paid an annual salary for the rest of his life because he was president of the United States, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So he'll never be like flat broke poor. And there's people that'll pay him $1 million just to come and talk on their television show.
Right.
So
at this point, though, he's a felon, and most of his assets are being diminished because he owes so many people money.
Yeah.
But I mean, the point is that I forgot my point.
Well, no, we were talking about why Black people are supporting him, and what Cleo said was because they feel like he's going to get them that money, and it's ignorant, it's silly. You're absolutely right, Cabrini. When we talk about like, why would people sell out and put a monster like that in office for those little bit of pennies that they got? But people, that's how bad some of us are doing.
That's post-traumatic slave syndrome. That is the syndrome
that too
that makes them think that just because I gave you money then,
right,
that if I get back in, I'm going to give you money again.
Right.
But that is not what the case is, because we don't have a pandemic right now.
Exactly.
We don't. Exactly. What we have right now is if this man gets in, the freedom that we know today will not exist for Black men in particular, especially a Black man that's your color, Cleo.
Well, see, we know that, but the people that Cleo's talking about that would fall for, oh God, he gave me 600 or even more, because people know the whole scams that were going on. Some people got
that's not a motivation
through unemployment. Right, exactly. So the people who are of the consciousness that would elect him. Hold on. Let me just finish this comment. The people that would elect Trump based on getting some pennies from him again, they are of the ilk that they are really struggling. That's what we said while you were gone, Cleo. We're talking about the mentality of a person that would fall for that. And so we understand, and one of the things I said is that, the Black men are like you said, they're struggling. They're in crisis. They're being killed in crazy numbers. They're being hung from trees. They're being beaten and killed by the police. I mean, there's so many. When Nelly is going through the airport, the famous rapper Nelly, with his wife who just has a newborn baby, and he could be beat down despite his celebrity status, we start to really understand the true nature of what we're up against. And I know that's another show, but go on, please, and continue. I wanted you to hear what I had said while you were off.
Sure. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I used to tell Roland all the time that one of the mistakes that people keep making, including him, is they keep using themselves as their frame of reference. And that's a mistake. And you can't educate and transform people if you use yourself as a frame of reference. You got to understand where they're coming from and talk to them based on where they're coming from, so they can consider something else. But they got to feel understood first. And if you do like he does and call people stupid and ignorant for making a decision, you just gave Trump some more support. So it's important to understand why people do what they do. For example, I've seen people with my own eyes. I'm a white people now. I've seen poor, broke white people with no teeth voting against Obamacare. And you guys, you may remember that. They were like, no Obamacare. They were in crutches and wheelchairs. They needed some damn Obamacare. But they, from a philosophical, post-trauma, irrational perspective, was like, nah, it's a man who's identified as black who came up with this. I ain't supporting it. When it comes to black men and Kamala and Trump, but Kamala in this instance, black men need to find some resonance, and they've given up on blackness being a la the Democratic Party, particularly with a black man a black woman with a white man on her arm. It feeds into the anti-black male narrative, not only from my perspective per se, but I'm talking about optics here. They're like, nah, this woman ain't about us.
Yes.
They don't even love us. We're gonna go get paid.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now talking about COVID-19 money. And I want to close my rant with this. Please stop responding to this with a completely informed, logical perspective, as if it's everybody's perspective. A lot of people are making emotional decisions. Mm-hmm. Even when you talk about joy, Cabrini, that's emotional. Even when you talk about the feeling that you have when you see Kamala's rallies, all of that is emotional. A lot of those people have not done no research. They just being emotional, and they have all these under-informed analysis, of any analysis at all, and they're going by optics. Some people, black people, like Kamala because she's a light-skinned person, because we got issues around that. We got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. But I get why black men are running behind Trump, and I get why they give it up on blackness. Kanye is a poster child for that. Kanye is not doing blackness. Kanye is doing get paid. And I'm going to close with this in terms of psychology here. When Barack Obama was president, can y'all still hear me?
Yes. When
Barack Obama was president, you may remember this, one of the things that Kanye said to the country about Bush was that he didn't care about black folks because of the New Orleans crisis based on weather, the tornadoes and stuff. And he said that on television because he was not going by the script. He went off script and said what he wanted to say. And he was on this black affirming agenda. When Beyonce was up for an award that Taylor Swift got, who was not famous at the time,
yes,
Kanye went off about racism and said it should have been Beyonce that got that award. And he had no backup. All the famous black people got white accommodating and afraid in white cricket land and didn't say nothing. But the black, in quotes, the biracial black president got on the microphone and called Kanye West a jackass. And in front of everybody. Now you got to remember, Kanye was dealing with the trauma of his mama passing, blah, 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 blah. You got to remember he was trying to be black affirming and he got no support.
Wow.
So when the black president called him a jackass,
oh, shoot. His Wi-Fi is gone. And I want to hear that. Well, while Cleo works through his technical difficulties, that was such a poignant point. We're really getting to the answer to that post that I did. I'm sure Cleo will be right back. Because my question was, why are black people supporting T-Ron? He's coming back now. Wonderful.
See me, hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We hear you, Cleo.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All I was going to say is that I'm sorry, I'm having these connection issues. I don't know if you can hear me. What was the last thing you heard me say?
Can you hear me? Doesn't look like you can hear me.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
It doesn't look like you're able to hear me. You can't hear me. So, Cleo, you've got a little bit of audio issue. We can hear you fine. I'm just going to put in the chat. We can hear you, or D Pepper, you can just chat.
Hello?
Cleo, let him know we can hear him perfect. but he can't hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The last thing I was going to say, I don't know where I ended. I don't know when I got cut off, but I'm talking about trauma now. I'm talking about the impact of trauma. I'm talking about the impact of lived experience. I'm talking about the impact of unresolved intergenerational pain. I'm talking about how people, for example, you all have met brilliant human beings who are very, very smart, go home to an abuser. It had nothing to do with their intellect.
Oh man, we're getting to the meat, and unfortunately, your Wi-Fi just went out again, and we're getting close to time.
Oh,
why
no.
don't we do this? Yeah, go ahead. Let's get your closing.
So
comments.
trauma is real.
Oh, okay. I think it's back
my
on.
God.
You're back now.
Phone.
So I know I don't know how much more time we have.
We can go over. I'm fine. It's just for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We're fine.
Because there's now we got into getting into the meat and the potatoes.
Yes.
I want to circle back.
Circle back, please.
Cleo said to me, Cabrini, you talking about feelings. You all up in your feelings. If we don't have feelings, then what are we here for? He just talked about trauma. Isn't that a feeling?
Trauma is an experience.
It's an experience, and with that experience becomes a feeling.
Yes.
So when you have trauma and you watch this woman walk on that stage and a feeling comes through your soul that there might be hope for you, then somehow I have to roll with the feeling that I feel when I see her. And she says that she's going to help me buy a new home. Or when she says she's going to give me a $50,000 credit towards me going and opening up a new business. I want that feeling. Life is about a feeling. And with that feeling, how do you take that and make that move towards your life? You know, if we walk around this planet without feelings, then we will become like Donovan Lecter, feelingless. Is that a word? Shit.
It is now.
Yes. Without feeling. In other words, I'm going to move through this planet and I don't care how you may feel about that. Well, guess what? I believe that I'm going to always err on the side of feelings.
Awesome. Awesomeness. Well, Cleo's back. I'm not sure if he's actually able to hear us, but I did let him know that we're hearing him perfectly, which is good. And so, Cleo, I'm going to invite you to give your closing comments in just a second. So,
we get closing comments? Okay, good.
You get closing comments. But so, what I want to say about the feeling issue, and again, Cleo's more than capable of speaking for himself, but he's having a technical difficulty right now. Hopefully, he'll get it back and be able to close it out, because that was so. Yeah, we really needed to hear those thoughts. But what I feel, and I believe that he was expressing, was not about not having feelings, but not being driven, and Cleo, correct me if I'm wrong, by emotion, right? And if that's correct. So it's not that we shouldn't have feelings or be happy. I too felt that joy that you, Cabrini, are talking about, especially when Tim Walt's son spoke. I just felt like he was so full of light and pure energy. And, I could really see his divinity. And I too saw in spirit what is being orchestrated here beyond the surface things. But I do understand that this is a broken system, that sadly, our our political system in this country is broken. It's seriously flawed at best. So like Danielle was speaking on earlier, there are limitations to what we can accomplish through it. And the layers of corruption, the layers of, organized crime, there's so many elements that we're dealing with that we have to unweave and dismantle to be able to get anything like fair and just out of what we have in terms of democracy in this country. So we have a lot of work to do. And back up to Cleo's comment about the slow poison or the fast poison, which again, I wanted to know why people were voting for T-Rump, and Cleo really captured it. I hope he can come back and, bring those closing comments before we leave, because he had some really informative things to do. And we need to understand why. Again, if you're going to overcome something, you first have to understand it. Yes. Are you there? Yes. Wonderful. Cleo, come on back in and give us your closing comments. And if you can, recapture some of what you were trying to say. Uh-oh, he went off for just a second. I'm texting him and letting him know we can hear him perfectly. So hopefully he'll come back. And while he's coming back in, I want to just read some of these comments. You guys have really put up some powerful comments on there. When you talked about, Danielle said earlier about what she brought context to her statement about Black America versus all of America. She talked about voter suppression is going to make this race close. We can't assume that she's going to win. If we don't show up, we'll have another Trump administration. We know how dangerous that is. I mean, and then Danielle says there is renewed energy around Kamala that I haven't seen since Obama, if not ever. I've witnessed it firsthand. And then, there's hundreds of comments here. Your World says, I heard it from my younger brother from Detroit that they are discussing the 600 on the street. So on the street in the hood, young Black and middle-aged Black men are saying they're going with T-Rump because they think they're going to get another issue. And this is the mentality. That's the desperation level. That's what I mean by mentality. Because when you're desperate, you'll take crumbs, right? And then Odell said some of her column, speaking of Vice President Kamala Harris, her California politics did not like, but I respect the fact that she was a fellow Howardite and survived a pledge period with AKA with a line name of CQ, cool, calm, and collected. Also, this brother doesn't speak for all Black men. And Odell said it's time for some Black girl magic. And so Azan Kamal talked about him being a paper tiger, that he still has money. It may not be liquid, which is what I just said. Says Trump is about business. This is from Odell. Trump is about business, as that is the Republican agenda. Most Black businessmen imitated or simulated with the rules of the game in order to fund their businesses. Trump will be a money president. But what price are you paying to get paid? Great point. And Azan says, only thing Trump and Project 25 are going to get Black people is a trip to the concentration camp. Whoa, that was a tough one.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
I took off the video because I don't have enough bandwidth to do both.
Okay.
Right now, y'all know what I look like.
Yes, we do. Please, we want to hear your thoughts.
One of the many side effects of white accommodation is unresolved intergenerational trauma is that a lot of families, even families who get money, get caught up in these old traditions. Most of the Black people that I meet across the country are not politically savvy. I went to Ferguson after Michael Brown was murdered, and the majority, by a long shot, of those Black people that live there are the majority. They are the majority there. And I remember asking them, do you vote? Do you know that you have the power in your hands to determine who your police chief is, who the civic system is controlled by, where police officers come from, who keep killing you, blah, blah, blah? Do you know you have it in your hand, because you're the majority in this city, to control that? And their eyes glaze over, and they went into like a catatonic state, because the whole idea of having power or feeling worthy to defy white people is like, that didn't compute. So as Cabrini or anybody else talks about the facts about,
we lost you.
Optics.
Okay, there we go.
As a community, not because we're deficient people, but because of the side effects of
Darn. Okay, I might have to have him call me and I'll put him on speaker so y'all can hear him. All right, well, we're getting ready. We're going to be signing off in just a minute. Cabrini, you have about 30 seconds to just give your final comments and thoughts on this subject. Why her? Why not her? Kamala Harris for president.
Why her? Well, I think that there's so much to unpack in that question, but why her? Because I think with her, we have an opportunity as people to get ahead. I think with her, we have an opportunity, as Cleo mentioned, with the side of her that has her whiteness, because he talks about the fact that she is a Black white person, which I really wanted to address that issue, because I want to know what that is and what his feeling tone is about Obama being mixed race and Kamala being mixed race, that both of these people apparently are more in tune with their whiteness. So I think because of her whiteness, we're going to be able to get far more than we would if she was 100% Black. So because of that, I believe that America and the democracy will expand, explode, and have another outcome that we've never seen before because of Kamala Harris and what she's done throughout her entire career. The cons, I don't have one because I don't have one.
Okay, awesome. Cleo, I have Cleo on the speakerphone, everybody, so he is able to hear the conversation. And Cabrini had kind of posed, she was giving her closing comments, but she actually posed a question directly to you to expand on your statement that Kamala's was serving more of her white ancestry, or, you know, culturally, that she was catering more toward the white school of thought or white culture school of thought. And so she wanted to know why you felt that way. Were there things that she said or did? I mean, she did go to a HBCU. She could have gone to Yale. She could have gone anywhere, but she had to choose to go to Howard. She did. She did.
I know Kamala's history. I know about Howard. I don't mean to butt in, but I'm not illiterate about.
Can you hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're perfect.
I'm not illiterate about Kamala. Interestingly enough, well, I won't get into that. I know about Kamala, okay, or Kamala. Well, I'm sorry, I gotta get the name right. I'm real clear. I watched them like a hawk. Was on the Roland Martin show when they first got there. Were working on their rise. I'm real familiar with their track record and what you refer to as qualifications.
I heard Cabrini say something about, and I'm paraphrasing Cabrini because it was going in and out because I think white supremacists were attacking my internet feed. But anyway, you said that her being part white could help her be able to have more access and do some things. And TaShia said something, darn it, about I'm sorry, y'all. I'll just speak for my.
I was asking the question of you about why you what made you say that she caters more to her.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, because I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you perfect.
Okay. I never said that she caters to her whiteness. I never said that.
Okay.
She's not in charge. She's part of a larger agenda. When Biden chose her, that was Biden's white agenda. Like I said, when I predicted that she was going to be the one chosen, all these predictions I'm making, it's not based on black choices. It's based on black ambition. I mean, Oprah Winfrey, there's only one Oprah Winfrey because white folks let Oprah Winfrey in, and she was self-centered and ambitious enough to take advantage of the olive branch. But she's the only one. There is no other Oprah. And it's not because she's the best, the most beautiful, the most dynamic. She's the one that got into the token fence because white people choose tokens. And Kamala is a token. So I'm not talking about what she's catering to. But her politics, her personal life,
and where she has spent a lot of her spaces that she's occupied has been predominantly with white people. I'm not going back to Howard. That was 100 years ago, and that's where she was then. She was a child then. She's an adult now. And her life is not the people who go to Howard now that she's doing a photo op to get black votes. Like when she went to the soul food restaurant, something I also predicted she would do. When she went to the soul food restaurant and took that picture with the hot sauce, that was to cater to black people support because we're into optics. But this is not about Kamala's rise, just like Obama, what's his name? Barack Obama's rise. It's not connected to white nothing. Excuse me, black nothing. Black catering. It's connected to white people's choices and agendas to get what they want. There's no such thing as an accidental pattern. It's not an accident that Ketanji, Clarence Thomas, and Kamala all have white partners. That's a pattern, and that's on purpose. But they're not the orchestrators. They are the benefactors, but they're not the orchestrators. They're the ones who get happy about getting chosen to have these opportunities. But it's one of the things that have been deep to me is that black people, black women are acting like Kamala's rise is their rise. Just like black people are acting like, both male and female, they're acting like Obama's rise was their rise. And it's not true. Obama's rise did not rise black people. Kamala's rise will not rise black women. This is a token situation where white people make strategic decisions to let in who they want to let in to make the natives calm down and feel seen so they can shut up while they continue to run things. And I'll close that rant by saying Kamala is just a decoy. Kamala is not running nothing. Biden chose Kamala, not black people. If black people were making the choice, they wouldn't have chose Kamala. They probably would have chose the mayor of LA if they were in charge, or Maxine Waters if they were in charge. But Biden chose her because she is not a threat to white power. And that's how these decisions are made. If they are literally sleeping with white people and have white children, in Kamala's case, or Kamala's case, she literally helps take care of white children, purely white children, like Michael Jackson did, because she lives in a household with white children where she's their stepmother. That's a safer black identified person for white power agendas.
Well,
so this has nothing to do with Kamala's decisions. Kamala's chosen, and she will be unchosen when they decide to do that.
Thank you, Cleo. So just to
okay, look,
we
I
love
feel
it.
like,
Hold on. We're gonna get you, Cabrini. We're gonna let you. I know you want to come back to that, but what I want to say is, and this is where we get to continue loving each other and respectfully disagree. I think that Vice President Kamala Harris is much more than a token. I think that she's a brilliant, highly qualified black woman. I think that in her, someone put that she has Jamaican and Indian ancestry. So she absolutely is a woman of color and a woman of African descent. Absolutely. And I think that she also understands, and this is what I want to add to the conversation and for your reflection, Dr. Cleo, is that, to survive, to strategically move in the realm that Vice President Kamala Harris has not only moved in, but survived, which is a miracle. One has to be strategic, because we understand the assignment that she has accepted, both in the spiritual realm and professionally. We understand that just the fact that she survived it is already a miracle as a black woman to occupy the second highest office in the United States of America. She is a master strategist, because they wouldn't put me in that office. They would put you in that office. They wouldn't even put white people who think like us in that office because of the system of white supremacy and racism. So Kamala, so understanding that when you say that black women will not come up, that's the second point that I disagree with. I think by Vice President Kamala Harris's sheer presence, and when she is elected as the next president, again, her sheer presence in occupying that position is going to elevate every black woman, every woman of African descent on the planet, spiritually, psychologically, and professionally, because there is a woman who has black skin and actually Minister Louis Farrakhan did I wanted to share that video with you. I'm going to send it to you after this. He did a talk about this very same thing that I'm saying, is that what we don't recognize is the energy that someone being in this position has to be in. Now, will she be able to make all of her moves about empowering Black people? Absolutely not. It's not the system she works in. And I feel like I believe that it is our not understanding the system that even makes us expect it. Because because the system is broken. America's political system is broken, so there's only so much that can be accomplished through that, and that's what Danielle was talking about earlier. So that's just a point that I want you and our viewers to consider and to understand that, Bell Hooks said, to survive corporate America, you have to be silent about racism. You cannot rise to the highest levels in corporate America when you're speaking out about racism. They're going to blackball you. You're going to get fired. You won't make it, right? Kamala understands the assignment that she has, and she has to be strategic in how she moves. And so that's all I'm going to say on this platform. But I want to just invite you, Cabrini. I know we're over. Thank all of you who are still rolling with us, who have not left since we signed on. And we might have to do a part 2 to this conversation because there's so much to this. And Cleo, I hate that you got cut off at some of those points because you really had some poignant points that you were sharing and educating on us on the plight of Black men and Black people who are supporting the other candidate. But Cabrini, I want to invite you at this time. 30 seconds. We got to close by 1:30. I want to give you an opportunity to say your closing statements.
Okay. So I just want to say, just because of her, she has elevated me as a Black woman. You mentioned that we weren't going to be elevated just because she's a Black woman. As a Black woman, I am even more elevated. I am even more excited about the possibility, the opportunity that will happen for us now. Now, yes, it is up to me. I'm not going to be doing this and waiting on her, but because to see her, I am excited about the next opportunity. And I hope you, as a Black man that is doing this body of work for Black people, can just somehow sound a little bit more excited about Black people, because you have not sounded excited about Obama or Kamala Harris. So that's my closing statement.
Ashe. And he's still here. He's on the phone. He's not able to get into the feed because of the technical difficulties, but he can hear you. And I tell you, there's a lot of things I could say about Dr. Cleo Manago, and we absolutely disagree on some things. But one thing he loves, and he's spent his life working for, is for Black people. He loves Black people and people of African descent. And that is who he is. You could, anybody that knows him knows that. But I could understand how you would think that, not knowing him the way many of us do, thousands of us do, who have been impacted positively by his work. And clearly, I am excited about, and I will celebrate, do flips, roll all across the floor when Kamala is named the next president of the United States. I have great hope for her presidency. I'm going to roll my sleeves up and do everything I can to ensure that she's elected. I'm going to get out and vote myself and encourage everybody I know, Nene and Baba and Boo Boo. I'm going to load them all up and take them to the polls. And who you vote for is your business. And what this forum was, so that people could be educated and to understand that sometimes you can't say everything you're thinking or doing. When you understand what you're up against, when you understand, as they call it in biblical terms, the principalities that you're fighting against, Vice President Kamala and others, they can't come out and say everything if they're smart, because they understand, the game here and what's at stake. And so I salute her for her courage and her bravery to do this, because even to make it to the ballot, our ancestors are being healed, but because they never thought it would happen. I remember I told my mother when I was 12 that I wanted to be the first Black woman president of the United States. And she said, "Baby, I love you." She said, "But it'll never happen." She says, "I want you to give up on that dream and get a dream that you can actually accomplish, because they'll never make a Black person the president." And in 2008, before my mother had passed away, God, rest her soul, she didn't get a chance to see it. but they elected President Barack Obama as the first African-American president of the United States. So never let anybody tell you what you can't do.
Absolutely.
And so I pray that she is the first Black woman. And I know that little girls from the hood are going to believe that they can do things that they never thought they could do.
Yes.
And not just little Black girls, but little girls, period. Women, and all that they have gone through, all that they are going through, having their reproductive rights snatched away by a demented and sick system that wants to oppress and control and use fear and dictatorship to rule people. That is not who we are. We're not going back to that. We haven't fully gone away from it, in my humble opinion. It's still there. It's just hitting better. But we're going to do everything we can to change this. And I think with Kamala in the leadership, we definitely have a better chance than with T-Rum to bring some needed change to this country. And I think she's learning a lot in this race. I don't know her personally. I never sat with her, but I have someone very close to me who works with her directly. And she has seen the beauty and the power, and she too believes that Kamala's going to make a great president. So with that, we're going to close out. I want to
thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Come back again. I would love to have you back, and you and Cleo for a part 2. And definitely, you know, we want to be able to educate people. And I thank you, Cleo, for always taking time for your busy schedule. If you're still on, I don't know if you're still here, but for always taking.
I'm still here.
Ashe. And I thank you, brother, for your dedication and your legacy. So a lot of the work that y'all see me do is because of the things that Cleo taught me, because of the way that he empowered me, that he, you know, helped and strengthened my love of myself as a woman of African descent. It was because of him. And my daughter and my family were all positive. And everybody met him. My mother met him. Everybody knows my whole family. I met his mama. So I thank you for all that you continue to do and the heat that you have taken to speak out where there was injustice. Okay. And I thank you, my sister Cabrini. You continue to be a positive, powerful, pioneering Black woman doing incredible work all of your life. And I've seen many of the work, things that you have done and accomplished in your own spirit, your own bravery, right? And the stories that you have lived through, as well as the love and the joy that you have brought through your energy. You have always been a vehicle of joy and of light ever since I met you 3 decades ago. So I thank you for that. And thank you again to our sponsors, to Noble Trinity Media, D. Pepper Massey, who handles our tech, House of Pinky, one of our show sponsors, all of you, Odell Richards, you really brought a lot of great comments, and Antoinette, all of our beloveds. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And I just want to wish Cleo a happy birthday. It's tomorrow, but I want to go on record of wishing him a happy birthday and many, many more. And thank all of you. If you want to learn more about what we do, go to www.nobletrinityenterprises.com, and you can learn more about the Window TV show, the upcoming television series The Seer, which is in pre-production, starring Golden Globe nominee Dennis Haysbert, and lots of other fabulous work. We thank you again, and have a fabulous rest of your Friday. Make light up the darkness, as Bob Marley said, wherever you go, light up the darkness. Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you, Cabrini.
Bye, honey. Thank you.
All right, talk soon, my sister. All right.